Okay, guys, I'm back. This is going to be part 2 of the lecture on visual applications. So we are still talking about Photoshop. These are our most recent entries to Imagine for this spring. In fact, I sent them out the week before spring break. This is a work done by Ross Schrag. It's basically called Catch Me If You Can. If you notice, he uses an actual picture and then disintegrates it, and he incorporates a picture from the internet, turns it black and white, and incorporates that, so it looks like it's a part of the image. He sent that as his entry this year. This is called Culture Clash, and it's done by Jonathan Dalston. And if you notice, basically this is a picture of himself that he's flipped, animated, and then superimposed flags on it. Pretty cool. Jonathan's been working, of course, for 4 years in Photoshop, and it shows. This is Caleb Sayre's entry, where it's basically, again, shows disintegration of himself as a picture. If you take a look at it, it almost looks like his skin is peeling off, cracking and peeling, and that's kind of the effect. That was his entry this year for Imagine. This is actually a piece done this year for Imagine by Natalie Brown, and this is her first Photoshop entry, and this is called The Mask. And she actually took this picture and then modified the concept so that her face looked mask-like. So we're going to move on. Besides manipulating images in Photoshop, you can also create what's called typography, which is creating fonts that have an impact based on how they make us feel, and how they create pictures and images. And this is an entry last year from Jonathan Dalston, who made the top 5. It was called Don't Fold, Just Be You. And all of this is done creating layers and depth and perception. This is actually a work of typography, but it's made in Illustrator. But I wanted you to see the difference. Can you see how this is a vector image all made with brushes? Wes Johnson made this, and he won 3rd place at Imagine with this selection. This is a piece of typography by Tyler Wise from last year. Heaven, Earth, and Hell, all done with varied graphic art used in Photoshop. This is made by Blake Mitchell. He entered this and again, notice how he used typography to bend, he bent the words to create this image. Now here's our winner from last year. This is Nels Peterson last year, his work in typography. This selection, as you can tell, incredible detail. He won not only he won 1st place in typography, but he also won Best in Show. So he won multiple prizes with this. We also used it as the cover for, we used it for our cover art for a project where our seniors, veterans, told their stories, and our kids helped produce that. This was our book cover. Excellent work by Nels. Great attention to detail. Okay. Let's move on. This is this year's entries. This is Jordan Foth. Jordan entered this in his typography selection, and it's called War is Hell, as you might imagine. This is a typography entry by Jacob Bryant. Jacob is showing this to Prince. This is basically his Batman Joker thing, which is pretty cool. Also in typography, this is Trey Schneider, of course, from The Walking Dead. Pretty cool stuff. And this is called The Arrow. This is by Seth Peterson. And again, if you look at the attention to detail, the minute words, I mean, even the lighting behind, there's some pretty tough work there. This is a piece by Alana Lustfield in typography. It's called Fire on the Mountain. And all of the work done behind this is all done with brushes and images. This is a piece done by Amy Mullen. It's called Leaving My Mark. And basically she took her thumbprint and then bent text from the Charlie Chaplin speech from The Great Dictator, and she bent it around the lines and swirls of her skin within her thumbprint. Pretty cool. And this is Nels Peterson's entry this year for typography. This is 3D lettering done very carefully. Lots of work here. I think he'll be a contender. So let's move on to talk about Illustrator, because Illustrator is different than Adobe Photoshop. Illustrator allows you to create vector images, and you're going to see that immediately when you take a look at, I'm going to move past this, some of the pictures within Illustrator. This is actually an Illustrator picture with a vector background, or a vector image with a bitmap or picture background. Pretty cool. This was created by Austin Crawford a few years ago. This piece of work was just all done. Everything, part of it is done as Illustrator. Pretty cool selection. This is done by Clayton Couchman. It was called The Raven. And if you notice again, all of this is created with shapes and lines and drawing in Illustrator. It also is a vector image. This is Caleb Sayre using a 3D vector image with his name. And this is really cool. This is an entry this year by Hannah Godfrey. This is a visual resume. So you guys just made a resume. She used all of Illustrator to create hers. And if you take a look at her logo with the H and the G on the inside, she created that, and it's a theme. She's got a QR code up in the upper right, and everything else, the text, the colors, everything is controlled in Illustrator. Excellent piece of work. I think she's got a real shot. Things that we use when we use Photoshop and Illustrator. We actually have what's called a bamboo tablet, which allows you to draw and animate. We can also use that in Flash, by the way. And a lot of students will use that to help enhance their work. We have to install a driver to get it to work on your computer, but it's a really solid piece of an extra tool. And I will show you what that looks like when I get back. Motion. Okay, so let's move on to another piece of work. Motion is a visual application that we have. It allows you to create animated sequences. It allows you to create textual moving text. Lots of cool things. A lot of my folks use it to create entrance pieces or exit pieces for film that they do to create great visual impact. And here's a little story about it.
Hi, I'm Ian Robinson. Welcome to Motion 5 Essential Training. In this course, I'll show you the ins and outs for using this real-time motion graphics application. We'll take a look at the different ways to animate objects in a project using traditional keyframes and Motion's very own animation tools known as behaviors. We'll use the text design tools to create graphics as simple as a lower third or complex as a title open. We'll learn the finer points of text animation like text on path movements and animating individual characters in a word. I'll show you some of Motion's most exciting features like replicators, particle systems, and generators to create original animated art from scratch. Finally, we'll take a look at how to animate all of these elements in 3D space. I'm really excited to show you what Motion 5 is capable of and to share with you some of my motion graphics tips and tricks. So let's get started with Motion 5 Essential Training.
So, okay, we have Motion 5 on one of our machines. We don't have it on all of our machines, but because the software is expensive. But guys, learning how to use Motion 5 is one of the repertoire tools that our kids like to do. And I just wanted you to see it. We also use Adobe After Effects and Mocha. And Mocha is a separate application. It's a offshoot of After Effects. After Effects itself is probably the key that we use, and we have Adobe After Effects on all of our machines in the back. You will not have it individually because it's expensive. So if you choose to learn how to do this, you're going to be working primarily with the machines in the back, which is just fine. I don't think your heirs could handle this. But here's kind of the stuff that some of my kids have done. Notice as we progress, the level of difficulty that changes and how our improvement with our software and our film shooting changes how Adobe After Effects looks.
Freaking stop. Don't squirt yourself. Don't. Dude, no, you can't do that. Seriously, don't. Dude, don't. You're going down. You think you can take a gunman like myself? You are not trained in the ways of force.
Okay, so you get the idea. Lots of stuff there. This will be the end of part 2, and we will take up again with part 3. Talk to you later.